Principle of non-delegability. The general rule is that what has been delegated cannot be further delegated. Potestas delegata non delegari potest. Again, what has been delegated cannot be further delegated. The rationale for this principle is that it is based on the principle that the delegate to whom a power is delegated has been chosen precisely because trust is reposed on him, and if he delegates further to another the power delegated to him, the third person does not have the trust originally given to him. Moreover, the power delegated constitutes not only a right, but also a duty to be performed by the delegate through the use of his own judgment and not through the judgment of another. However, there are permissible delegations. Permissible delegations include delegation to the people at large, covered on the system of initiative and referendum. Also on the requirement of plebiscite in the creation, division, merger, or abolition of local government units, and the Initiative and Referendum Act. The emergency powers of the President is also considered as a permissible delegation. The conditions for the vesture of emergency powers are the following. There must be war or other national emergency. The delegation must be for a limited period only. The delegation must be subject to such restrictions as the Congress may prescribe, and the emergency powers must be exercised to carry out a national policy declared by Congress. Another permissible delegation is the tariff powers of the President. The President is granted standby or flexible tariff powers in the Tariff and Customs Code. What are the tests for a valid delegation of power? We have the completeness test and the sufficient standard test. The completeness test provides that the law is complete when it sets forth therein the policy to be executed, carried out, or implemented by the delegate. The sufficient standard test provides that the law lays down a sufficient standard when it provides adequate guidelines or limitations in the law to map out the boundaries of the delegate's authority and prevent the delegation from running riot. To be sufficient, the standard must specify the limits of the delegate's authority, announce the legislative policy, and identify the conditions under which it is to be implemented. The standard may be express or implied. The standard does not have to be spelled out specifically. It could be implied from the policy and purpose of the act considered as a whole. The following were considered as sufficient standards, or they were held to be sufficient standards by the court: public interest, justice and equity, public convenience and welfare, simplicity, economy and efficiency, fair and equitable employment practices, and standardization and regulation of medical education.